Welcome back, everyone, to SDN Tier 1 Season 7 as we move on to the Austria Grand Prix. Last week, after what we saw in Texas, the championship picture is starting to take shape now. At the Circuit Americas, it was Mel's who stamped the authority of field with his absolute blistering pace. He broke free from the DRS train, controlled the pace from the front, and converted that speed into the reserve victory. Despite not winning on track, he did get a 10-second temperature remove, showing once again he's a serious title contender early this season. And behind him, Eric continuing his resurgence with another strong podium finish, backing up with consistency and confidence, as we've seen in the previous races. For Kevin, Texas was a rare mistake, but opting for a venture strategy, a two-stop strategy. He found himself caught in traffic where the race was there for the taking, and on a night when he could have fought for the victory, strategy proved costly. A reminder that even the fastest drivers can be punished when the margins are this fine, and he missed out by the merest of margins in the wins last week. Now the focus shifts to Austria, the Red Bull Ring, one of the most shortest circuits on the calendar, but one of the most intense because just over 4 kilometers in length. It's a track defined by heavy braking zones, rapid elevation changes, and a relentless rhythm that leaves no room to breathe, even though I'm not breathing either. Long straights, raw speed, with the middle sector demands precision traction and braving the corner. 3 DRS zones, plenty of action, 90 cars on the circuit, with lap time so tight, DRS playing a huge role in this race. Qualifying will be absolutely crucial here, especially in these wet weather conditions. Timing will be absolutely perfect as well, and we'll see if the fireworks in Texas transpires in towards this race in Austria. Hello, Ramon. Nice to see you in the chat. Of course, you haven't raced since season 4. You had a few DNS back then, but we won't talk about that. But it's nice to see you back now. My name is Indigo, and alongside me tonight is my Dutch commentator. His name is Milan Langer. How are you doing, mate? Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm doing all right, and glad to be back here for another round. And last week certainly was an interesting one. But in the end, it was Mills who got the win after getting his penalty removed. And now in the lead of the championship as well. So needs a good result tonight. But it's quite close in the championship. And it's still very early days. So anything can happen. But we've got rain on our hands here in qualifying at least. And to my understanding, it might rain in the race as well.
Ooh.
So that could definitely spice things up, especially for those who practiced. Usually do that in the dry, not often in the wet. But first, we've got qualifying, full qualifying, I think so. Q1, Q2, and Q3. And the first 5 drivers will fall at the first hurdle. Although we got 19 right now, so it will be 4. But the top 15 will go through. But I can imagine that a lot of these drivers will put in many laps and just stay out there, as the track conditions could improve over time. But there's a few drivers out on track already. Kevin is on the wets, which I don't think is the appropriate tire right now. Just wanting to test, I think, if everything works. Ticey then in the Sauber might be the first one. Actually, in Fireblaze, just starting his flying lap in the Mercedes. So we'll take a look at him as he makes his way up the hill and down into the braking zone of turn 3. I think the highest point around this track. Really tricky hairpin, especially in the wet, can be tricky with the traction out of it, but he managed quite well. And as you can see, the DRS is still enabled, so quite mixed conditions. I do wonder if slicks are still possible. Of course, it is raining, and you can see there are wet patches around the track. The DRS still enabled might indicate that we're still a little bit on a crossover point, but intermediate is definitely the safest tire to go on right now as Fireblaze makes his way through this middle sector, this double left-hander turns 6 and 7, really quite similar corners except the exit here out there. You have to be careful of the white lines. So easy to invalidate in general around this track, especially these final 2 corners as well. Really have to slow down enough, especially in these conditions. But it seems like he is managing well as he comes out of the final corner to cross the line. First lap time on the board will be a 1:10.708, and then we'll see who is going to get underneath that. Sauber of Ticey is coming through next, coming out of the final corner. Don't really expect him to go any quicker than Fireblaze. Who knows if he got a better lap in? I don't think he has. 1:11.2 puts him right there in second place. But I can imagine all these drivers will keep putting in those laps, and the lap times will start to drop as the session continues on. As Happy Meal there goes quickest now, 10.6, only 16,000 out of Fireblaze, but the new man at the top.
Indeed, then Happy Meal still looking to take his first win of the season, because remember, he's had a few P2s this season, and one of them was back in USA, although I think he finished in P3. Ivan goes up into P2, of course, teammates with Kevin Zubberg in the last season, and 3,000 separating Ivan and Fireblaze, as Finn Hertz is up to P4. This reminisces of this lineup just reminisces of like season 4, season 5, because you've got the old names returning, etc. And back in Austria as well, POV Eric. Eric is currently down in, where is he right now? P10. So they want to go on board with Eric. I'll go on board with him because he is on an out lap. But Eric, who's done a good job so far this season, has been rather consistent. And unlike last season where he took a lot of risks and unfortunately hasn't paid off, as Miles Mackis now goes first with a 10.024. Here comes Eric around the final corner with the DRS wide open for him. And we'll see if track oh my god, pad attraction proves dividends. My god, that was a tongue twister there, sorry about that. But pad attraction pays dividends for him as we climb towards turn 2. That's one of my worst moments ever on commentary. Kick goes up into P2 with a 10.2, a 16.7 in the first set. So for Eric, goes into turn 3 nicely as he gets back on the throttle. Be very, very careful, be very lean on the throttle there as well. Massive wheel spin could be sustained as he now heads down in towards turn 4. Another heavy braking zone, break at the 100-meter board as well, in towards turn 4, slides to the corner as you want to be very gentle on the throttle now, which he does do, as there is a car in the way, but hopefully pulls off to the left hand side, which he does. Coming through turn 6 now, be very careful on the entry because it's very easy to lose the back in the car as he navigates his way through really safely and cautiously. Coming through turn 7 right now for Eric as he slides his way out of turn 7 in towards turn 8, where we saw Verstappen spin back in 2017 and Hamilton crash in 2022. Now Eric approaches the final two corners across the top of the crest of the hill, downhill towards turn 9 and turn 10, and all you're looking for is try not to validate or spin. Eric almost lost the car, which he did, and that would definitely cost him dearly. He goes up into P3. Not a bad lap, you know, at 10.488. There's definitely a lot of times to be found there from Eric, considering his big mistake in towards the last corner. So, handy lap time there for Eric. But I wonder throughout this qualifying session, with the DRS still enabled, I wonder if it might get heavier. These could be the best conditions, and therefore the drivers might have to put a lap time immediately on the board to guarantee their safety. So, we'll see if that's the case, or it could remain like this throughout the whole session, as we see, I think somebody crossed the lines, go up into P2. That's Happy Meal with a 10.064. Do you know what? Happy Meal and Miles Mackis this season have been super, super close, and every time they engage in battle, it's been absolutely ferocious, on edge all a single time. There's mountain of fire literally here in Austria between those two, and we'll see if that rivalry continues between Miles and Happy, because they haven't really had a good, better relationship between those two. They've always come to blows one way or another. Remember back in Australia where I think those two had their own incidents, but they had separate incidents where they took themselves out of contention for winning. Happy Meal was going to win the race, but he did on track. But Sasha Hood was the one that took the victory away because he had a penalty remove. As we see Eric now coming towards the final couple of corners, I think he could go for the lap time. Remember as well, in these inter conditions, Milan, you could go for multiple lap times because the thermal degradation is not as bad as the soft compound tires, for example, because the softs overheat within one lap. But on the inters, it's not so bad. So you can do continuous runs on these set of inters because the tread is not so high indeed. As Miles Mackis there goes quickest to 9.917. By the way, Milan, you take over because I desperately need the toilet.
Go it up, mate. As Momunik had a bit of a moment there coming out of turn 7, now in validates as well. Coming into the penultimate corner, has to pull back into the pit lane. Currently in P8 and looking good to make it through into the next part of qualifying, but that certainly doesn't help. As Mels indeed then goes quickest. We'll see Happy Meal start another flying lap as well. And so is Erik on another improvement, up by, well, 0.006 of a second through sector 1. Erik, though, for a fact, I think he's a little bit of an Austrian merchant, so we definitely expect him to be high up there here in qualifying. Not too sure how his pace is in the wet, but so far it seems quite strong, especially since he had that massive moment coming out of the final corner and still put himself in P3, P4. But currently he seems to be a little bit struggling on his second attempt. Let's see if he is going to finish this lap. Or go back to the pit, and he is going to finish this lap. Now this time through the final corner, much cleaner through there. And let's see what it is going to be as he is going to cross the line, 9.898, and putting himself back at the top, 18 thousandths of a second there ahead of Mels. So really quite close between all of them. But Erik now at the top of the times, but not for long though, because Isbrand replaces him with a 9.705. And now the RB driver is quickest here in qualifying, but there's a lot of drivers out on track who are trying to improve. And we'll see what happens. Lucas in the Williams, by the way, down in P12. Usually a strong contender in qualifying. You can always find him inside the top 10. Most of the time inside the top 5 as well, but currently down in P12. 1.2 seconds away from Isbrand, but he is on another flying lap. Improving at the moment by 13 thousandths of a second in sector 1. But he definitely needs to find a bit more time than that to improve upon his position. Fireblaze and Mercedes about to start another flying lap as well. Ivan unable to improve through sector 1. Finn, I think, is about to start another lap as well. Happy Meal has invalidated. But yeah, there's a lot of drivers who just stay out on track and keep putting in those lap times as the track conditions start to improve, potentially. Kevin, in the meantime, the Alpine, still down there in P16, one of the few drivers who hasn't set a lap time yet, along with Stefan, Mark and Sasha. Mark and Sasha both on an outlap, on a flying lap as well, so we'll see a lap time coming in from them quite soon. But Kevin, I think, is about to start a lap, so we'll definitely see if he's going to be able to put himself at the top. Mark is going to cross the line to go up to P2 with a great lap then, 9.7 for his first lap time of the session, 300ths of a second behind Isbrand. And then Sasha now coming through the final couple of corners. Let's see if he can keep it within those white lines. And he does successfully. And this lap time will put him in P4. 9.9. Definitely indicating that the track seems to be getting better with the conditions as the session continues on. So who knows if you might see someone going on slicks at the very end. But for now, I think the intermediate's definitely the way to go.
Meantime,
Kevin has finally. No worries, man. I didn't know you were back yet. In the meantime, Kevin has set lap time, but I think he's on a flying lap right now. Currently, he's still down at P18. Let's see what he can do.
So interestingly, Fireblaze has posted his best lap time on a set of soft compound tyres. Definitely the case that the soft compound tyres are not going to be a worthy tyre. I think somebody's gone for a spin, I think, at the exit of turn 6. They've paused before. I think they're letting people go. So hopefully whoever that was can recover. That's Lucas who goes out wide there. While Valtteri Bottas spun back in 2019, I think. And I think it was at the time Verstappen who went on to win that race due to him having a problem at the start of the Grand Prix. And then overtaking Leclerc in 2019 with that fantastic last lap battle. Here comes Kevin, a 9.572. That's the pace liking from Kevin Zudberg. They're obviously just messing around on those wet compound tyres, just trying to kill a bit of time, because I think in Q1 a lot of people are just like trying to find limits of the track, just testing, and they know they've got the pace to make it through Q1, so they just want to have a bit of a mess around on those wet compound tyres. But the suspects we usually look for to be eliminated in Q1 is the likes of, I know you hate the name point, but you got to be honest, is Colin. I'm not quite sure about my rocking in P16, how his pace is like here. Obviously, this is the first time I've seen him. Who else? Reiki Yu as well. Do you know what? A lot of people, we don't actually know who could be not in Q1, because wet weather galvanizes qualifying sessions and it changes everything as well and gives us a different perspective. As Miles Makis has done 6 laps on those soft intermediate compound tyres there, and as you could tell, you could definitely do a lot of laps on those inters as well as the track. Well, the inters just keep getting better and better and barely fade out as well. So that's why we could do a lot of inters on a lot of wets, a lot of laps on those intermediate compound tyres. I wonder what Stefan's doing down there in P19. Here he is, the Dutchman in the racing ball. He hasn't got a lap time on the board yet, which is quite concerning for him, because he usually is quite good in the wet conditions. We saw that back in Spa, but unfortunately he spun when Eastband was chased him down. As we exit turn 4 now, a bit of wobble on going out there, but nothing too major or serious to hinder or affect his lap time. Taking a very wide approach going towards turn 6 there, not utilising all the track on the inside, taking a middle line as we go through turn 8 now. Turn 7 to turn 8 goes wide again, so not really hooking up the lap, but all his focus is get himself inside the top 15, and he's backed off as well. Stefan is clearly not happy with that lap time. Stefan has struggled recently as well. I think it was back in Australia we struggled to get a lap together in general, and unfortunately couldn't hook it up. But Stefan has struggled recently as well. I'm not quite sure if it's him spending time away from the game, because when he did race he used to be rapid as well. But I wonder what's going on with him as we head down towards turn 1 once again. Taking a very cautious approach there, not really carrying up much speed, trying to be gentle, trying to make sure he doesn't take any sort of unnecessary risk, invalidating the exit of turn 1, which is quite a common place to do so. Up towards the hill, turn 2 and turn 3, flat out through there, now on the brakes once again, double locks up, but that shouldn't affect him too much as we makes the corner, but a bit reluctant to get on the throttle there for for Stefan, as we exit turn 4, 3, headed down in towards downhill turn 4, which can be quite tricky once again. We see plenty of people just lock the rears up and drift through this particular part of the track, which not do your rears any favours whatsoever. Once again, a massive amount of oversteer there for Stefan as he desperately tries to get the throttle. This lap seems better, but still hesitant and still doesn't seem to be comfortable in these wet conditions. 3/10 up in this blood sector, so it's better than his last lap, as you've seen, but this is where he backed off, so this is where we'll find a lot more time now. Over the crest, a blind crest coming towards turn 9 and turn 10, flip the car in, usually in qualifying I think it's full throttle through there as we now head towards the final corner in turn 10, the racetrack, and we'll see what Stefan could do. Can he get himself in security? The answer is yes, P11, but that could be on the brink. Depends if more people are improving on lap times. Like Ticey, Moroccan in P17 as well. Moroccan's going 6/10 quicker in the middle sector, so it looks like he's on course for Q2. Khatakas is on the periphery in P15. Now, he has good records around here in Austria, excluding JSR. He came second 2 seasons ago behind Eastbound. Eastbound won, whilst Khatakas was chasing him down. But here in qualifying, it seems to be struggling so far, as here comes the Haas driver, making his way towards the line. He goes up into P8, and that is a relatively respectable lap for him, as he's just looking to try and get himself inside that lucrative top 15 there. Lucas is on the bubble, but we definitely know he has the pace. I think Lucas won the Austrian Grand Prix 2 seasons ago when him, Kick versus Eastbound as well for the win. Both Williams played a strategic master gamble there to keep Eastbound for the time being behind. And it was Kevin Zumberg, I think, the man that won the Austrian Grand Prix last season as well. I don't think I commentated last season because I have no memory of it. I think I did miss a race around here in Austria, but bearing in mind though, there was only 11 people, so that's probably why I did miss it. But here Chris Fireblaze now 6/10 up. His best lap time is on a set of soft compound tyres. Not bad, on a set of softs, which is only 1 second off the pace, but obviously not the tyre you want to be on. Here he is towards the final corner. Surely this man will find himself in security as he makes his way now towards the finish line. Goes over to P5, and that should be a decent lap time there, Milan.
Yeah, probably good enough to make him through into the next part of qualifying. Don't think it's going to be quite dry enough for slicks, at least not for them to be quick enough. So he'll put up in a fight against the intermediate runners. But Fireblaze now P5, and in the meantime it's Lucas and Geitekas who have dropped out. Kick is on the ring, so really not quite the names you usually see down there in P15. And it only takes one invalid lap time, one track limit for them to be knocked out in Q1. So really taking quite a risk here. Kick is out on track. About to start his lap. Geitekas is on an improvement right now, 6/10 up in the middle sector. Now comes through these final two corners. So Kick Sauber up ahead, hopefully doesn't hinder the Alpine, but he just has to keep it in the white lines, and he does so successfully. Takes a little bit of slipstream towards the finish line. He goes up with the P3, good final sector as well, and that should definitely be safe for Geitekas. But then Lucas and Kick has backed off immediately, so this lap is not going to count. He only has one final attempt when he comes across the line at the end of this lap. Lucas though is starting on flying up. Happy Meal now goes quickest, 9.3. Lucas has been really struggling this session, once again going wide through turn 1 as well, really losing a bit of time there once again. Let's see if he found some time in sector 1. It's quite busy up at the road as well. He's not improving at the moment. 600s down, and once again going deep in towards the hairpin. Sven Geerts now goes quickest, 9.236. So lap time's really starting to drop, but look at the traffic up ahead for Lucas, and this might be his last attempt. Unless he backs off right now, he could recharge the battery and go again, but it doesn't seem like he is doing that right now. And it might just be his final flying lap hope. Let's hope that Sauber gets out of the way. I'm not sure if they are on the lap Ticey or Mominic there to go out of the way. Lucas now up by 0.4 of a second, which at the moment could only put him around those two Saubers of Mominic and Ticey in 12 and 13, which really don't think will be safe for the Williams as he comes now through the final two corners. Let's hope he at least keeps it within the white lines. Playing it quite nice and safe there, and across the line, what is it going to be for Lucas? It is going to be P12 only for the Williams, and will that be enough? That is the question we'll get an answer to in 16 or, well, around a minute's time when everyone finishes their flying laps. As Colin starts his final flying lap time as well. Ricaju, I think, will be the first one to catch up. Like, no, it's teammate actually. It is Mark in P7, but he has invalidated, so he will stay in P7. Geitekas and Fireblaze both have finished as well, but their P5 and P8 should be safe to make it through into the final part of qualifying. Ricaju cutting it very close on the inside with track limits. He is going to improve to P18, and he does not make it into the next part of qualifying. But what about the drivers behind him? Kick is up by 0.4 of a second through the middle sector and looking to get himself inside the top 10. Erik has finished his lap time as well in P4. Geitekas in 6. What about Kick then? Currently down in the drop zone in P17, but looking to improve, and he should be able to improve. And let's see where this lap time will bring him. P6 for the Williams and making it through. Then comes Ticey in the Sauber, not improving in the middle sector. Can he find some time? No, he can't. That might be Lucas' savior, unless Mominic or Stefan could improve. Here comes the Kick Sauber across the finish line. He goes up at the P12. Lucas down to P15. Is it going to be Lucas or Stefan? Lucas is out in Q1 in the Williams, missing out by a few hundredths of a second, as Stefan does make it through. Ivan doesn't need to improve, but out in Q1 is Lucas. Ticey Rekaju and Colin.
Well, big shocker there for Lucas down in P16. We know the man's got some great pace, but maybe his weather condition skills aren't as great as his dry. So unfortunately, he has been knocked out of Q1. And big shocker there for him as well down in P16. A man who was taking victory around here before in Austria. It was a Williams 1-2, I believe, a couple of seasons ago when it was them versus Eastbrand for the win. But that is a big shocker, a big surprise. But no surprise to see the likes of Finn Hertz, Happy Meal, Kevin Zundberg, Amos Eric up there inside the top four, also close in these times as well. And we go through to the next part of qualifying Q2. I think the conditions are going to remain a stale like this. I don't think they're going to get wetter or improve. So it's all down to confidence and who is willing to push the boundaries of this racetrack. And Q1 is basically like people practicing, because the people who know they can get themselves in, they're testing the limits of this track. They put so much fuel in the car, loads of fuel in the car, about 7 or 8 laps consecutively, and they know the limits as well. Not all the limits, but when the track improves as well, they definitely find more time, and I can see the times get themselves in the 8s as well. So look at that, a whole bunch of Dutchies in this session. But the main people who are out in qualifying, it's just Lucas, Taisi, Ricky Yu and Colin down there in P19. And Moroccan on his debut just makes it through as well in P15, so he's lucky there. But Sasha as well in the danger, Stefan as well, Ivan and Fireblaze, so they all look like they're in danger of getting themselves inside that lucrative top 10. But that's the beauty of it. In these qualifying conditions, they're mixed. You have no idea who could take pole position, because your skills in the dry may not transpire to your skills in the wet. You could have a massive disadvantage in the wet if you're not good there, so obviously. But that's what I love about the wet condition, because it really spices things up in qualifying. Unpredictable, and you never know who might be up there taking pole position. But now Q2, it's all about getting yourselves inside the top 10. But the problem is, though, the grid is so tight and so compact, and the times are super fine margins. You don't know who's going to be out of Q2 out of Q2, because all it takes is one simple small mistake, and that's your lap time ruin. 10 corners, the shortest track on the calendar, 4.3 kilometers. But this track, especially in the middle sector, especially in the last 2 corners, is where you'll lose all the time. It can make or break your lap, literally, and that's the frustrating beauty thing about this track, because yes, it may seem simple on paper, yes, it'll have 10 corners, but 10 corners too much, and unfortunately your lap time is ruined there. You can make a mistake anywhere on this lap, even without validations, because turn 3 is a heavy braking zone, and you could easily lose the rear of the car as well, outbrake yourself. So it's not just about, DRS has been disabled then, so it looks like the conditions are starting to get worse, and this is where the times might tumble down now, as Ivan there is on the soft car tyres but still in the pit lane. He's on his outlaps, Ivan, so is he surely not these conditions of the soft car tyres? Because as Fireblaze proved in the first session, it was not time for the soft car power tyres. There's nowhere near a time. I think we're on the absolute crossover point, but now we're definitely switched over to the intermediate power tyres. I think almost every single driver is out there so far trying to get the best of these conditions, and the first man out there is Kevin Zundberg, last season champion, the man that took 10 wins last season and multiple sprint races too to go with it, and the man who's looking for redemption after losing the win in Austin. He definitely had the pace, but he went for an adventure strategy. He knew that his strategy wasn't going to work, but he took a risk, he took a gamble. He wanted to have fun, see how it paid off, but it didn't pay off for him at the end. And he's got his RP teammate right behind him too, so let's see how they do. Kevin Zundberg rounds the final corner as we kickstart our lap here. No DRS enabled on this lap then, as we head down towards turn 1, looking for the 100-meter board on the outside there, taking a lot of curve as you can through turn 1, lean on the curve on the exit of turn 1 as well. Very nicely done as we now climb towards the hill of turn 2. Should be easy to flat out, but of course in MotoGP the track layout is much different. For those who are wondering why there's a chicane on the left hand side there, that's because there was a massive incident back in 2020. So basically that corner in MotoGP was turn 2 and it used to be flat out, but 2 riders crashed. I think it was Franco Morbidelli and Johan Zarco. They both crashed together and it almost wiped out Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi, and they were super close to wiping them both out. A high speed incident, and it literally left the world shaking up as well with how close the impact. So that's why that chicane on the left hand side is introduced. Many people don't know that, but that is the reason why it's there. Obviously we don't use it in F1 because there's no need to, because safety is a big improvement. But in my opinion though, with that layout being there in MotoGP, it just doesn't seem right, because all MotoGP tracks are dangerous, more dangerous than this. But it was a misjudgment between those two, and for some reason they decided to add a safety feature, which is I completely disagree with, because we had some great battles there in turn 2 and turn 3 with riders up the inside of each other. But Kevin Zundberg goes P1 at 9.8, Fireblaze goes P2 with 4 tenths behind, and Eastbound goes up into second place, and Mark goes up into P3. But like I mentioned back before as well, we don't really see many fights going down towards turn 2 and turn 3 in terms of MotoGP, because many riders don't risk it, because people have gone so wide and cut the chicane itself. Stefan goes up into P8, but that's not a good lap time for him, as Eric goes up into P2 now. I think these times maybe start to slowly decline a little bit too, so I won't be surprised to see if that happens or not, because DRS has been disabled. So I think this could be the moment where the intermediate conditions start to get worsened.
Probably, yeah, and it's further as Ivan in the McLaren, he invalidated his flying lap, but it was only going to be a 111.0 on the slick, so it definitely seems like the softs are not as quick as the intermediate, so he will probably come in to the pit lane and swap around those sort of slicks for instead of intermediate, so he can try again. Happy Meal in the Red Bull is out on a lap, or is he? He's got quite a high battery to be still running around, so I think he's not on a push up at the moment. No, he isn't. A couple of seconds down in the middle sector. We're preparing to go for a flying lap, as Ivan will go back into the pit lane. Mominik now out on track as well. Only Mills still remained in pit lane. Haven't seen him yet out on track as everyone else. He's either going back into the pit lane or going for a slowdown lap and going again to try and improve on a second run on the same set of tires. But let's see what Happy Meal is going to be able to do in the Red Bull as he makes his way through turn 1. In the Red Bull, currently got a 115.1, so I think he made a mistake on his flying lap. One of the RBs there up ahead, which is Eastbound, still staying out as well. 1.3 seconds gained already, so definitely made a mistake through, I think, the first sector. That's where he lost the most time. As you're already finding quite a sizable improvement for Red Bull now. No DRS, like you said, and now heading towards the braking zone of turn 4 downwards. Downhill on the braking can really be quite tricky. You can really see you have to throw in your car full commitment there. And now going through turns 6 and 7, we'll see how much he finds an improvement in the middle sector, although really quite going to be representative. 3.4 seconds. We'll see how much he's gained at the very end of his lap. I don't know if Eastbound is on a lap as well. I think he might be. Yes, he is, up by 2 tenths of a second so far, so he could go to a new fastest lap time. Let's see what he is going to be able to do first as he comes out of the final quarter. The RB is going to cross the line to go for a 109.7, goes quickest. What about Happy Meal in the RB? Only 11th place. Not a great lap time at all. 7 tenths of a second away with a 10.4. So really not quite a good lap time at the moment. Not going to be enough for him to make it through. Same for Geitekas, as Erik now goes second with 6 thousandths of a second behind the RB. That's a much better lap time for the second Red Bull. So Kevin is out of lap time as well. Will improve in a few moments time. Let's see what Mominik is doing. No, he's not. He's invalidated on this run. So at the moment not looking strong. Still Mills remaining in the pit lane as Ivan. He's gone back out now on a brand new set of intermediates. So we shall see what he does on his second run. I think Finn Geerts has just started another flying lap. Yes, he has in the Ferrari. Currently a quarter of a second away from Eastbrand, but he might be able to find an improvement. Already 24 thousandths of a second up through sector 1. But the most time can be gained in sector 2 and 3. As sector 1 really only consists of the turn 1, the right hander, and then flat out all the way up the hill towards the braking zone of turn 3. Now down once again in turn 4, looking a lot better than Happy Meal did on his lap. So looking quite strong so far from the Ferrari driver. The two Ferraris, P4 and P5, quite closely matched with Sasha just behind, as Finn finds more time in the middle sector, now up by over a 10. But still, won't be enough for him to get ahead of Eastbound. Did say that it was a purple middle sector, so he might find some more time in the final sector if he continues what he did on his first lap. That's the RB getting out of the way nicely there, as Finn Geerts will cross the line. Is it going to be quicker than Eastbound? The answer is no, as he stays in P4 with a 10th improvement, but unable to get ahead of the likes of Kevin, Erik or Eastbrand. As Stefan, I think, just starting a flying lap as well, with Ivan in the McLaren down on P13. Hasn't set a lap time so far, and looking to do that just now with 7 minutes remaining in this session. 48.5 at the middle sector. I think it's a couple of tenths away from the man to the drivers at the top of the field. So he might be a couple of tenths away, but could be able to get himself inside the top 10. Just needs to keep it within the white lines. Once again, through these final 2 corners, really tricky. She can really cut across the inside of turn 9. She will go up to P11 only, ahead of Happy Meal and Geitenkaas, but 3 of them really haven't set great lap times at all so far. And at the moment, down in the drop zone with 6 minutes remaining.
Yeah, so Geitenkaas, Ivan, Halfmil, I dare say, or Mel's Marquez, I dare say, but I think he's waiting for the last possible moment. I'm not quite sure what the strategy is. Ideally, want to get out there to try and test the conditions, because every single lap builds up confidence, and the more confidence you have, the better it'll be for you as well. So if you just go out there with doing 1 lap only, it might turn, well, you don't know where the limits are because the track could change any single moment. So it's best to get out there and put some laps on the board. But unfortunately for him, he hasn't done that. I don't think he's got a problem. I think he's just waiting for the final few minutes here in qualifying. Is Mel Marquez. Our championship leader is the Dutchman. After having a great start to the season so far, must be said for him. Yes, he made a mistake back in Australia, but he's coming strong so far this season, it must be said. And he's certainly doing an impeccable job so far. But we know how long this championship is, and we know how much these drivers are competitive as well, so it won't be easy for him. He's got to defend from Christian, Sasha, Fire, everyone behind it, because every single one of these guys are quick, and in their own sort of strength and weaknesses category, they can have the good and bad times, every single one of them as well. Sasha has a validity going through there as well. I think Mark is down in the middle sector by 2 and a bit tenths. Do you know what? The Haas of Moroccan is not doing too bad so far. Hopefully I haven't said that bad. Mispronounced it, but he's doing a good job so far now in P7, and we saw he was almost out of Q1, so up into inside the top 10, doing a really good job so far. Geitenkaas, I don't think he's on a lap time. I think he is going through turn 4 right now, but we'll see how he does as he progresses through this lap. He's exited turn 4, bit of wheel spin, but nothing too major there as he now comes through turn 6 and turn 7. Through this left-hander we go, taking a very wide entry to try and carry as speed as you can to the corner. Get on the apex in turn 6 there, which yeah, obviously not on a lap time. 2.7 seconds down, so my bad on that one. Fireblaze, though, well, this season it's been a weird one because qualifying this season hasn't really been strong for Fireblaze. He has been knocked out before. I think it was last race where he got knocked out in Kota, but here it just seems to be, I don't know, a disadvantage. I know he's got work. I know he's a busy guy in comparison to other Dutchies here, but he hasn't got much time to practice. And when it comes to race pace, he is tremendous indeed. He comes to the field like a steam train does Fireblaze. But here in qualifying, it just seems to lack a little bit too. We know qualifying can be quite difficult, especially with the 1 lap pace and the intensity of the pressure. But he does bode well for the race. So it could be a case where Fireblaze this season could be struggling in qualifying, doesn't have much time to practice in qualifying, and learns as he progresses through the race. He is quite strong around here in Austria, has picked some podiums before multiple times as well, and other league races too. So he has got some knowledge to this track, or maybe he's bad in the wet conditions. I did commentate on the race with him on Wednesday last week, and he did struggle in Austria when it was the wet conditions. He didn't have the pace towards Mike. Mike pulled away. Fireblaze was just struggling throughout the whole race, so that's probably why he's struggling here in qualifying. Here comes Kick towards the line now in the Williams. He goes up into P5 with a 9.966, and back in Australia last season too, when he struggled in those wet conditions there, just dropped down the hill like a stone. And guess who's finally on the track? It's Miles Marquez. He's got 2 lap times if he needs it to set a lap time on the board to guarantee his safety, but Geitenkaas has retired in the pit lane. He's on the absolute brink of being knocked out, because Happy Meal, I dare say, probably will improve. Fireblaze, yes. Ivan, maybe. Nick, maybe. Stefan, Mel's Marquez, definitely. He's purple to the middle sector, but that could be deceiving. But Geitenkaas here, who sat on the podium a couple of seasons ago here in Austria, unfortunately could be knocked out in Q2 and seal the deal for him outside the top 10. But here comes Miles Marquez around the final corner. Can he drop Geitenkaas 1 more place? The answer is no, actually. P10, but he does have 1 more flying lap, and I wonder, he has maybe going through bit of cold bebs on his first lap, so maybe trying to get him dialed in, because he has only done 1 lap so far in qualifying, which is this lap, so maybe got a bit of cold beb and ring rust on him, but maybe when he does the next lap he has more confidence. But it could be a caution up there for Miles Marquez in P10. But Fireblaze is about to start a lap time or not. I think he just crossed the line. I think Fireblaze is done, because he's low on fuel, he's P13, he can't go for another run. If he pits, which he will, he won't have any time. So Fireblaze, surprisingly again, is knocked out in Q2. bad news for Fireblades. Our two-time champion of SDN is knocked out. Ivan is coming through now. This middle sector we go. Only a 10th up, which is not going to... maybe... but he needs to find a bit more time to guarantee his safety and solidify himself inside the top 10. Finn Hertz is on the track so far. Here comes the McLaren driver, the Dutchman, making his way towards the final couple of corners on this racetrack in turn 9 and turn 10. Flip the car in, get back to the throttle as quick as you can as he makes his way now towards the line. He goes. It's P6 for Ivan, so good time there from the McLaren driver, and he should be safe, but we never know. And Fireblaze qualifying, we definitely know he's done dusted. Stefan's on an out lap, and I think Miles Makis is going for a second lap, I assume. Yes, he is, going for a second lap, Milan.
Indeed, he is. Something tells me that the conditions have significantly worsened throughout this session, because otherwise the likes of Geitegas wouldn't retire immediately. I think that's the only explanation I can think of. But Mels indeed is going for a second lap. Fireblaze doesn't have the fuel to do so, and will be coming back to the pit, and he indeed is knocked out. Just like Happemil, who is not going out. Mominik and Stefan are still going out, but I don't think they're going to be able to improve. Mels Makas through the sector 1 is down by half a tenth of a second, but there is still room for improvement. Maybe he only needs to find a tenth of a second to get ahead of Geitegas, but with these conditions it's going to be difficult to improve. He needs to make not a single mistake on this lap, otherwise he will get knocked out, and we're going to have multiple shocks in Q2 with Happemil getting knocked out, Mels potentially getting knocked out, Firebase getting knocked out, maybe Stefan as well. But through sector 2 he's down by 1.5 tenths. It is not going to be enough for Mels. He's not going to find the time in the final sector, and I think that is the end of the story for our championship leader. He's going to continue to push on through these final 2 corners, but he's never going to find 2.5 tenths in this final sector as he comes around the final corner and makes a bit of a mistake on the exit as well, struggling with traction, and he stays in P11. Did have a good final sector though, but only couldn't improve in time. 13 thousandths of a second down. Let's see if Stefan or Mominik are improving. Stefan is up by almost a tenth of a second through sector 1, so he still could be a threat to the likes of Geitegas, but he needs a good middle sector as well. Let's see, has he found some more time in the middle part of the lap? He has 2 tenths up from the RB. This might be a magical lap from Stefan. He could knock out Geitegas once again in Q2. Wouldn't be the first time this season, definitely won't be the last either, but Stefan is going to come through the penultimate corner, just needs to keep it within the track limits, and he could make it through in the final part, but he misses the apex for the final corner. Is that going to hurt his lap time? Crosses the line, he goes up to P6, good lap time. Geitegas is out of qualifying, and we only have to wait for Mominik, as Myro Korin is on the lap as well in the Haas, but he should be safe because only Mominik behind could try and improve, and the Haas driver invalidates as well for good measure. But Mominik really struggling to the penultimate corner. Hasn't set a lap time at all this session, but I don't think this lap time will be enough as he comes across the line to stay in P15, and he will be knocked out along with 4 big names of Fireblaze, Happemil, Mels and Geitegas, all knocked out at the second hurdle.
Mels, Christian and Fire are the top 5 in the championship, and now they're down in P12, 13, 14. Geitengas, another big shocker. Although he does struggle in qualifying, and I know he does struggle on this game to a certain extent as well, so I can give him a little bit of a leeway there as well. But yeah, another big shocker as well in P11, and congrats to Moroccan in P9 there to make it to Q3. He was on the bubble in Q1, but somehow escaped and put himself into Q3 easy through no stress, says Mark. And Happy Meal says he's doing something different. Yeah, my lap would have been P4, but yeah, says Happy Meal. So he confirms that invalidation unfortunately occurred to him. But it is, look at that, just reminiscent from the past seasons with Eastbound on top, with Eric in P2, Kevin Zuckerberg in third ahead of Finn Hertz. Look at these guys. It's just bringing back so many memories when we used to commentate for the first season in SDN together. AMS kicking P5 ahead of Stevan. Skin issue then, I guess. Ivan P7 ahead of just Sasha, and Moroccan in P9 and Mark in P10. I'm going to go to the toilet once again, Milan, because I have drunk a lot of water, so I'll be right back with you, mate.
Yeah, best of luck, don't fall in. But we're at the end of the second part of... Who knows, but we're going to go into the final part of qualifying. 12 minutes remain. Let's see what the conditions are like. Is it going to be worse than what we've seen so far? Is it going to be better? I think it's going to be worse. It's once again raining, as it has been for the entirety of this qualifying session, but definitely no slicks in sight. But yeah, Happy Meal, you can watch along now. You're not in Q3, so along with us, watching this final qualifying session, looking to see who is going to go for pole position. But 12 minutes should be just the intermediates, but the question will be if the conditions are going to continue to deteriorate throughout the session. If that is going to be the case, then we are going to see the quickest lap times at the beginning of the session, and the second part might be quite boring of this final part of qualifying. Mark making a very strong point there that if you want to be at the top, not invalidate your lap time. That is very, very true, and some of these drivers could definitely take upon that advice, as Kevin is going to go out on track first on the intermediates, and following him is Stefan in the RB. And behind him is going to be the Haas. On his debut, must be said, doing a strong performance so far from Meyer. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, but I'll go with that. But first appearance here in SDN, I think. Haven't seen him before, but making it into Q3 along with the big names. I say big names fell in Q2 and Q3, but we're still left with, I'd say, 10 or 9 or 10 strong contenders, which are the usual suspects in the final part of qualifying. It's really just a strong grid, so someone had to fall at the second hurdle, and it was unfortunately Happy Meal and Mels and Fireblaze, but still we're left with Kik, Isbrand, Erik, Finn, Geerts, Kevin, all very strong contenders for pole position, and Kevin is going to be the first one to try that. And to be honest, looking on board, it really isn't raining that hard. In fact, I think it looks a little bit better than we saw at the end of Q2. So we'll see if these lap times are going to be quicker than what we saw in Q2. But Kevin starts his first flying lap of the final part of qualifying, going through turn 1 in the right-hander, using a bit of battery now down this DRS straight, where of course no DRS enabled right now here in qualifying. But at the first sector, 16.9, so a good start to his flying lap. You do want to be in the 16s in these conditions. So we're already with a strong start for the Alpine driver, now making his way towards the braking zone of turn 4, putting the battery all the way down to around 25%, but it's now going to be recharging through turn 4, a bit wider on the exit, but keeps it straight coming out of the corner, which is really the most important thing in wet weather conditions. Now quite a wide line there through turn 6, a little bit wider than you want, 48.3 now in the middle sector. And now coming through turn 7 and 8 there on the exit. And only the final 2 corners remain on his flying lap for Kevin. Let's see if it's going to be a low 109 like we've seen so far in Q1 and Q2. As he comes around the final corner, the Alpine will be crossing the line for what will be a 9.910. It's just about still in the 9s. What about Stefan behind? He goes second fastest with a 10.1. So around 0.3 of a second away from the Alpine driver. Up next will be Sasha in the Ferrari, down at P10 at the moment, of course. Hasn't set it up time yet, but let's see where he's going to compare himself to Kevin and Stefan. Can he be in between, or will he be behind? He will be ahead with a 109.903, 0.7 of a second in front of Kevin. Strong lap there from Sasha. Ivan unfortunately has invalidated. It's going to be would have been a 1.10.101. Which would be enough to beat the likes of Sasha and Kevin. Now coming out of the final corner there as well is Kik going up with the P3. Kik hasn't really been so strong this session so far. Erik only goes P5, and Mark is just starting his flying lap. So is Isbrand just up ahead, but at the moment it is Sasha on provisional pole by only 0.7 of a second ahead of Kevin.
Indeed it is, and I did see Erik made a big mistake out of turn 7 in towards turn 8, had a massive oversteering moment, had to go off the track, and still surprisingly to my knowledge a 10.2 despite losing all that time. So Erik is definitely the card, you know, if he can hook it up together, because that Dutchman's got some great pace in his disposal, but it's all about hooking it up, especially when it comes to Q3 now, because Q1 and Q2 is like a walk in the park for these guys, but Q3 now is when the pressure starts to ramp up and all the nerves start struggling, because they know this is the biggest moment now in qualifying to basically provide and produce some astonishing lap times. As Q1 and Q2 they could just settle in and just go around and set in those lap times. But here comes Mark come towards the middle sector, a 48.550, a regular top 10 qualifier. Here's the Dutchman Italian as we now make our way up towards the blind and the crest towards 10 on turn 10. I think there's a car in front of us, but hopefully this should peel off or get out of the way, which the Williams does as he makes his way now towards the final corner we go. Bit sloppy in the edge of there, but it's on the throttle now. Let's see what he could do as he crosses the line, goes P5 with a 10.084. Now, the peak conditions in this session was definitely Q1 because we saw the lap times of a 9.2 as Finn Hurst has a massive wobble out of turn 8 as he now appears over the hill. But the peak conditions in qualifying was definitely in Q1, 9.2, so it just gradually got worse. Not too bad, still manageable, still drivable. Here comes Finn now. What can he do? The Dutchman makes a return as he goes towards a provisional pole with a 9.816 there as the Dutchman has got some formidable pace in that Ferrari. Of course, he took a podium back in Australia, but he hasn't been around for such a long time in league racing. In the general, he took a bit of a sabbatical. But Kevin Zumberg immediately goes back towards the top with a 9.507. That's more likely from Kevin Zumberg there, as he puts 3/10, a bit of distance between himself and second place there. So great lap time there for Kevin once again. Eastbound has a validated. I think Mark is on his in lap. And let's see what Eric's doing. Coming to the middle sector where he struggled, had a massive moment out of here, but this time hooked up really nicely as the Aston Martin Mark gets out of the way as he makes his way now towards turn on the turn 10. Where can Eric find himself in this mix? We know he's a very strong driver indeed, especially in the wet conditions, but it's all about trying to hook it up all the corners as we exit the final corner. Where can Eric go as he crosses the line, goes up into P2 with a 9.735 there, and once again Eric showing he's got some great pace there. So Kevin Zumberg is on provisional pole as expected. Eric in P2 ahead of Finn Hertz, just Sasha in P4 ahead of Kick, Eastbound 6th ahead of Mark, Stefan P9, Stefan P9, Morocco P9, sorry, Stefan P8, Morocco P9, and Ivan P10. I'm trying to get ahead of myself there, but those two haven't set a lot of time just yet in the Haas and the McLaren, so I didn't quite see what happened to them, but I wonder if they struggled because they were out there at that start of the qualifying, but maybe the nerves. Van has been on edge all through this session. It looked like at one point he wasn't making it through Q1, but he's in Q3 now by a miracle or by talent, but he has struggled a lot this session, so we'll see if he has some sort of pace in this qualifying session. We know the man has taken multiple podiums as well. His teammate used to be Kevin Zumberg, and the last time they were teammates had a 1-2 back in Las Vegas. A great driver indeed. Van hasn't always been around that much either. He was a full-time driver but had to switch, but he's in ILT now. I think he was in AMS because AMS Van, that makes sense. But he switched to ILT and he seems to be doing better in my old team, which I'm still in close relationship with. Mate, that was by talent, says Ivan, so he's definitely listening. But Finn Hertz is on lap time, headed down towards turn 4. He's gone quite early, but of course, like I said before, it's better to get multiple runs on the same set of the Innsbruck compound tyres because you just get better and better as you go along. As we now make our way towards turn 6 and turn 7, you just find more time naturally as well as you get more confident on the circuit. It's going to be a 48.0, 2 tenths up in the middle sector, but he needs to find a bit more time in the last sector if Finn Hertz wants to put his Ferrari on pole position. Can he do that? Can he find a bit more time in the last sector? It's all down to fine margins as we make our way now towards the penalty corner, trying to use every single part of the racetrack he can as we make our way towards the checkered flag, the finish line we go. Oh my goodness me, separated by 100th of a second. He definitely found the time in the last sector, but not enough to pinch Kevin's pole as Kevin remains on provisional pole for the time being. That was super close there between those two, but it's all to play for pole position.
Indeed it is, and Kevin is already going out on track along with Maro and the Haas, who is just going to start his final. But Kevin going out quite early as well. I think Finn stayed out after his first lap was completed. Now he's going to come back to the pit lane, but I'm not sure if he's going to have, if he is going to have the time to go for another run with only 3 minutes to go. It's going to be quite close for him. That could just be it for him, and he's only 100th of a second away from pole position. Incredibly close. It has been so close so far in this entirety of this qualifying session, but 16.9 there from Myro Corrin in the Haas, so a decent start to his flying lap, and looking to build from that. He one of the two drivers who haven't set it up yet. Ivan, I think he invalidated on his first one. He said at 10.1 of course wouldn't have been enough to put himself up there, but unfortunately invalidated on his first run out of Haas. Now making his way through the middle sector. Let's see if he is around the times that we have seen so far from the drivers at the top. 8:48.5, I think a couple of tenths away potentially there from Kevin, but could maybe see himself inside the top 5 with a good final sector to get ahead of Kick and Eastbrand potentially. Otherwise he's going to have to slot in behind him. Now coming out of the final corner, flirting with the track limits as he wanted to turn in there, but just a little bit too early, but hesitant on the turn in there. Maybe lost a bit of time. That he does go P5 though in the end with a 10.0, just Kevin doing on his first run? As you have left the session, Jamie, it says on the bottom of my screen, but Kevin is up by 300ths of a second through sector 1, and looking to improve upon that 109.5 that he's already set so far. Still improving by 300ths in the middle sector, but will it be enough to make it through or get quicker than his initial flying lap? Is it going to be a 109.4 as he misses the apex ever so slightly for the penultimate corner, and that could cost him on an improvement as he comes out of the final corner? Kevin is going to go to the line. He does improve. 109.453, does find some time in the final sector, but only a few hundredths of a second, but extends his advantage to Finn by a couple of hundredths of a second. But there is more drivers out there who are trying to improve. Sasha, Kik, Isbrand all on up. Erik as well in the Ripple, all very close to each other. Now going through turn 1, might be getting some slipstream there, Erik. In fact, actually, he is not going on this lap, I think. He is going to stay out for another out lap, as Finn is still staying out. He brought a lot of fuel with him on his initial run, I think, because he's going to start yet another lap time here. But what about Sasha? I think he's improving already so far through sector 1, but will it be enough? He needs to find 4.5 tenths to be able to beat Kevin. But if he finds just over 1.5 tenths, he could be able to get himself ahead of Erik and inside the top 3 alongside his teammate Finn, who is still looking to improve and could potentially steal away the pole position from Kevin. But he is on 5 lap-old intermediates, so it's not going to be easy for him to improve. As Sasha finds 1.5 tenths in the middle sector, so right around the time of Erik, with Erik himself will be starting a flying lap soon as well. But the question is, will he make it to the line with 20 seconds to go? He still has to do those final 2 corners, might be cutting it very fine, is the Red Bull driver. Here comes Sasha out of the final corner. Let's see where this is going to bring him. It's going to be P3. Misses out by 1,000th of a second to his teammate. So super close between the 2 Ferraris there. But as Isbrand is going to start his flying lap, but there's a lot of drivers starting their flying laps. The flag has fallen. Erik has just about made it. But here we go for the final runs here in qualifying.
Finn Hertz is down and invalidated too. I think that's the exit of turn 8, so he won't be improving a lot of time. It's P2 best for him, but elsewhere other people could be improving. Sasha's done. Erik is up in the first set by 300 of a second, but what is Happy Meal doing there? Where is he right now? Happy Meal is like that's the Racing Bull, sorry, not Happy Meal. Mark goes up into P5 in the Aston Martin, but Eric's got the car in front of him in the wrong place at the wrong time, because turbulent air can be a major distractment. And you can see there as well, Erik sliding through turn 4 as he gets on the power once again. He's going to improve in the middle sector. There's 4 cars in the chain of each other too, as we see now. Mark up into P6, Ivan up into P7 in the McLaren. What can Erik do in this middle sector? He's going to be 2 tenths up in the middle sector. Can he do it? Can he take pole? Can he find more time in this last sector? It'll be P2 at best, but it's all about finding more time and all about keeping it within the white lines. Can the Dutchman put himself on pole position, trying to find everything he can? Coming to the final corner, has Erik done enough? Kevin Zundberg, a 9.3, but here comes Erik. He goes up into P2 and misses on pole by 1/10 of a second, but well done to Kevin Zundberg on the provisional pole position. A 9.3 was such a mega lap time indeed there from the LP driver, and he puts the 10th between himself. That's the conditions we saw like in Q1, but every single driver finding confidence out there as well, constantly improving on lap time. So there it is, the classifications for Qualificatsi. Kevin Zundberg is on pole ahead of Erik by 1/10 of a second, and look at that, Finn Hertz and Sasha barely anything separated the 2 Ferrari boys, 1,000th of a second, unlike last week where we saw Sasha versus Sasha. But Eastbound's in P5 ahead of Stefan 2, kicking P7 ahead of Mark, Rocking in P9 ahead of Ivan for P10. Now you did mention that it could be possibly raining for the race too. In my opinion, I like the mixed conditions in qualifying because it jumbles the audio up, it spices things up. But in the race, it can be a little bit boring too because the air is not enabled, plus the dirty air as well. It can be quite difficult to overtake. So I do like the changeable conditions of the qualifying because it really changes and energizes the race and mixes things up. People are out of place, etc., like Lucas on P16. But when it comes to the race, here we go. Like I said, it's sunny. So I think it could be raining later in the race. And that's going to definitely change the strategy indeed and the whole trajectory. And we could see, if it does rain in the race, we could see the hardcore powered tyres being attached at this early stage. People trying to take the hards for a long way as well. I think the strategy around here is one stop, borderline a 2 stop. I think some people may struggle with tyre wear because tyre wear can be high around here too, as the right front tyre takes a lot of punishment with the left-handers. But I think the 1 stop should be okay. but some people might have to switch over to two-stop just in case for their security and safety towards the end, and guarantee that they have their tyre life towards the end as well. I have seen the one-stop strategy work, but the two-stop maybe a little bit faster. The pit lane loss around here is not too significant, so we'll see what happens in towards this race. But Milan, it's a dry race, mate, and you excited?
Certainly, I'm just being told that it's not going to rain at all in this session, so it's going to be a dry race from start to finish. And definitely the way to go around the Red Bull Ring. I think it's a much better track to race on in a dry, but we're here to go already for the Austrian Grand Prix.
What's going to happen here in Styria as we are underway for the Austrian Grand Prix for round 3. I think Finn Hertz gets a mega stop. Oh, there's contact between those two. One goes to one solid as we head down towards the first corner. The two in wheel-to-wheel bad combat. Finn Hertz and Eric go side by side as we head towards turn 2 and turn 3. Kevin Zumberg is a long way ahead in first place, but the two behind him are side by side. They're trying to see who will get second place as Eric goes up the inside, but Finn Hertz is still there on the outside, trying to get a better traction than the Red Bull drivers. Still remains wheel to wheel between those two there. Neither driver yielding, neither driver willing to give up. As we head towards turn 4, we go side by side once again between those two. In the background, you can see Eastbrand and Sasha going at it for P4, P5. But Eric and Finn are still going at it. Done a whole first sector, but I think it is. Down the inside goes Finn. Surely it takes advantage. She does, as the battle has concluded there for the time being. But those two going side by side through the whole first set and almost the middle as well. Kept it nice and clean. Neither driver was willing to back off there. And Finn Hertz puts himself in towards second place, challenging the man in first, which is Kevin Zumberg. Coming through to another turn, so we see the Haas getting all out of shape there as well. I think Ivan puts in pressure all over the back of him too, but now DRS will be enabled on this lap. I think all 20 drivers or 19 got away with skate and cleaning. No contact, so that's very good there, unlike we saw in JSR earlier on in Tuesday. But luckily there's no contact, as let's see what happens at the front of the field. Is Finn deciding to attack now or wait later, because he's in the best spot right now? Just sit behind Kevin Zumberg and wait for the opportunities. But how patient are you going to be? What's he thinking about the race? Is it long term? Is he going to go for the lead immediately? Avan versus the Haas at turn number 3 we go. Avan gets a better exit than the Haas driver. Eric, though, on the back of Finn Hertz, trying to force the Ferrari to make a move so he could be in a good position to overtake Kevin Zumberg. Happy Meal there around the outside in towards turn 4. Nice move. So the Haas, despite a great qualifying, he's dropping back dramatically. P9 down to P12. So he's struggling for race pace at this stage of the race. Maybe he has a different setup in comparison to other people. Maybe he has medium compound tyre. Oh, he's on the Haas. That explains why he's dropping backwards there. Not the best grip to start with, but better grip later on in the race. So maybe now he's suffering, but later on it should pay dividends for him when the hard compound tyres are in better nick and better shape. Avan goes off the track in the final corner, but it is lap 3 out of 36, and your leader is Kevin Zumberg. But the question is how much longer, because the guys behind will probably be desperate to overtake him.
Indeed, the biggest winner to open a lap as Mels. He's gained 4 position, but here comes Vince, the inside of Kevin, and he retakes the lead of this race. I say retakes, hasn't been the lead at all in this race, but he takes the lead of the race now away from Kevin, and the Alpine drops to second place, but now will have to DRS once again on the back of the Ferrari, but there's 4/10 of a gap separating the two of them, so he won't be able to make that move. In the background, there's fighting it out with Mark and Mels. Mels, who gained 4 positions on the opening lap, now dropping behind and going back up the inside of Mark later on the brakes. Mark will try to go for the switchback, but it's a great exit there from Mels, and he maintains in that 8th position, steals away position that Mark tried to gain from him, and is back up into P8. Mark down at P9, then it's Ivan in 10th place, then it's Hapamil on 11th, then Geitigas, then Firebliss, and then it's the Haas of Myron, now dropping 5 positions on the opening lap. But yes, he is on the hard compound tires. Not the only one though. He Rika Juice down there as well, and Stefan in P7 is also on a set of hard tires, and he has done quite a good job so far, only losing 1 position since the beginning of the race, so he just needs to stay within connection of the top 6. Yellow flags are out, and it is for Mommy Nick in the kick sour. He's dropped behind down to B19. Not sure if he's got damage, but he's lost a lot of time, a lot of positions, and falls outside the DRS range as well. And meanwhile at the front, Finn Geert still leading ahead of Kevin, but is anyone going to be able to put the pressure on? Is Kevin going to try and retake the lead of the race? Does just want to stay behind, at least for this stint? Erik just looking in the background as well, but not going for any moves just yet, as Sasha is looking at Eastbrand as well. And then it's Kick in P6, having a bit of an invisible session so far this evening. Haven't really seen much from him, but still in there in the fight at the top as everyone is still within the DRS range all the way down to P15, and then a gap then towards Tyson of around 3 seconds. So I think he got held up there as well, potentially in an incident that happened at the final corner involving Mominik. So unfortunately they're all dropping out, and it's really difficult to get back into that DRS range around this track with 3 DRS zones in succession. Yellow flags once again. This time it is for Colin in the Haas. He has gone off into the gravel trap coming out of turn 8 and drops outside that train as we come on to lap 5, bit wide through turn 1 there from Finn, clobbering off on the sausage curb on the exit, but still he's got a good enough gap to maintain towards Kevin, who is still looking at the back of the Ferrari. Then it's Erik in P3, followed closely by Isbrand and Sasha, but the gap between Finn and Kevin stabilizing a little bit, and Kevin is unable to re-overtake and just choosing to stay behind and not fight him too much, as you want to take these tires a long way because the tire can be quite high around here, and you don't want to you don't want to fight too much and risk getting so much tire wear that you have to make an early pit stop. Did he get forced to a 2-stop? So it's pretty calm at the front now since Finn has taken the lead. Just 0.5 of a second now ahead of Kevin. Then it's Erik, then Isbrand and Sasha in P5 just ahead of Kik. And then Stefan in P7 on that set of hards.
Indeed then, so Fincher is controlling this race beautifully, although at the exit of turn 9 may have gone a bit wide there, so he might pick up a track limit infringement, so you've got to be very careful because it's easily done around this circuit, whether you're in front or the car behind, especially the car behind too, when you're in the dirty of each other. It can be so easy to just wander off the track, understeer, etc. So be very, very careful and be aware of those track limit violations because they do count towards in the race, and the people with the least penalties we see usually jump up the order dramatically as we head up towards turn 3 now. We've some great battles here in the past with Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen as well in 2019 when Verstappen was surging through the field and overtook Leclerc, bumped off the track, but still went on to win after falling down to P9, I believe it was, behind his teammate Gasly. And Gasly was fighting with Kimi Raikkonen too at the time in the Alfa Romeo Sauber, as he was ahead of him on the first lap, was Gasly, but a lap behind, which was quite embarrassing. But yeah, that's a story in the past now. 2019 was a great time for, in Austrian Grand Prix. The Austrian Grand Prix I like because it always provides some great battle entertainment. Last season as well, between the two McLarens of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, although team orders called it off, and Piastri's bizarre strategy, unfortunately for him, not winning him the race that day because they both had great pace, but he got separated. Anthony and Verstappen crashed. But Ivan is in the pit lane already at the end of this lap, so I wonder if the guys behind now are sick of staying in this DRS train and looking for alternate ways. I think this could be medium hard medium or medium hard hard, because there's surely no way these tyres can go towards the end, and Hattikas has picked up a 3-second penalty already in this Grand Prix, so that'll be detrimental towards him. And once again, he's stuck with Fireblaze. I think these two have been pretty much close this season, in fact, in the wrong order, because they usually... Oh, he's got off the track there, turn 3. The car reluctant to turn in, and Fireblaze goes through, and he goes up into P11 there. So not a great start to the season there for Hattikas or Fireblaze. These two are usually up there inside the top 5, but we see Stefan looking for a move there on the hardcore power tyres. Pressurising kick, interestingly, so looks like the hardcore power tyres for him are starting to work, and now he can start to put the pressure on the guys in front of the mini-core power tyres. Ivan has gone for the hardcore power tyres, so has Lucas down there in P19. Haven't really got much to lose. I think they're just being creative with strategy here as well, because they know that they're not going to gain anything whilst being stuck in a DRS train. They can't move forwards. They're just stale so far. As Stefan has overtaken Kick. Kick is in the pit lane, and so is Miles Mackis there as well on the mini-core power tyres. So these guys pitting early to get off these mini-core power tyres, looking for an early undercut, and this is going to be signs for a 2-stop strategy. So we've got some split strategies in this race, and it's going to be all interesting now with the DRS train splitting up, etc. Mark and Happy Meal swapping places there, as Happy Meal goes up into P7 after starting outside the top 10 after invalidating his lap time at the exit of Q2. And now he's inside the top 10. Where is Ivan going to rejoin in comparison towards the guys? So it looks like Miles Mackis and Kick have jumped him despite having the 1-lap advantage on the new hardcore power tyres. That's not good news there for Ivan in P16. Maybe he struggled to get the hardcore tyres warmed up because he was in that big DRS train. All of a sudden, he couldn't undercut the guys ahead, although they had DRS on the back of the guys in front as well in that DRS train. So, Kick and Miles Mackis have got track position and 1-lap difference in tyres in comparison towards Ivan as well in P16. And we'll see if the guys in front respond. Is it going to be a normal 1-stop strategy for the guys in front to take those mediums a long way? And the answer is no. So, it looks like the 2-stop strategy could be the way. Kevin did tell me that he's going for the 1-stop strategy in comparison towards his 2 last week, which cost him the win. Now, It could be the other way around. Maybe he might do the one-stop strategy here and fall foul towards the end on those hardcore power tyres when these guys have much better tyres. As we see Sasha go up to P2, Stefan is P3 on the hardcore power tyres. We see him now overtaking up the inside in towards turn 3 and gets ahead. Easy move with the DRS wide open. Let's see where Finn Hertz rejoins in this battle. Ahead of him with Nick, which is quite interesting because on the all mini power tyre, so don't want to get stuck behind him. But here comes Reiki Yu versus Kick. Reiki Yu is on the old hardcore power tyres. He's pressurising Eric. He's going side by side with him in towards turn 3. This is the last thing that Eric needs and wants. He doesn't want to be fighting with somebody on all the tyres. As we exit turn 3 we go. And we can see Reiki Yu in the middle with DRS wide open for all 3 drivers. As Aston Martin's in the sandwich, Burt gets ahead of Kick and will try and get ahead of Eric as well. This is bad news for Eric. He's trying to go all the way around the outside, desperate to get ahead. He doesn't want to be stuck behind somebody on all the tyres because that will prevent his race strategy from happening. As he now goes up the inside in towards turn 6 and finally gets ahead. Unnecessary battling there, I dare say, but Eric won't be happy about that one. Here comes Kick as well as the racing bull gets shoved off the track. Here comes, who's that going through? Miles Mackey's, they go off the track. Reiki Yu and Eastbound's off the track there. I'm not quite sure what the Aston Martin's doing because he knows the guys behind on newer tyres and I dare say faster. So what's the point of doing this? There's no point really. Just give up track position because the more he battles, the more time he loses. So definitely lost of heads there from the guys in front. But here comes Eastbound now on Ivan. Goes up into P10. Where has who has just pitted? Sasha, he's just pitted. He's rejoined behind him with Nick, who's got off the track at turn 1. Here he is then, breezes past the Sauber and puts himself now up into P8.
Now that battle between Erik and Reiki really was positive news for Finn Geerts, who now got a gap between himself and Erik of around 2 seconds, who is now leading this DRS train all the way to Eastbound, who now gets ahead of Moinik as well, who's still staying out on those mediums, just like Kevin in the lead. But Finn Geerts is now in clean air, which could really help him out in this second stint. He doesn't need to worry about fighting it out and could really save his tires. The gap now towards Kevin is around 13 seconds, or I'd say 15 seconds, as he's still behind the Haas of Maro, but Finn Geerts is in clean air, so he can try and push on and chase after Kevin because he needs to make a pit stop more than the Alpine. But those mediums will start to fade from underneath the Alpine as Finn Geerts now setting the fastest lap of the race with a 106.3 as Moinik coming into the pit lane to make his scheduled pit stop of 25 laps on the mediums. On the hards, not sure if he's going to be able to pull that off and might still be fixed to his 2-stop. So the only driver at the moment going for the 1-stop is Kevin. I think Stefan and Maro might be going for a 2-stop as well. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like last week was the other way around, where Kevin was the only one to go for the 2-stop and it didn't pay off in the end. Finished in P2 or P3. Eventually fell short by only a few tenths of a second. But tonight he's going for the 1-stop when everyone else is going for the 2-stop. As Happy Meal is fighting it out with Geitengaas in the braking zone off turn 4. Goes up the inside of the Alpine to make its way up into P12. Still side by side on the exit. Geitengaas will have the inside line for turn 5 as they go wheel to wheel still. Now it's the Red Bull still maintaining his line around the outside. He's going to have to do it another time through turn 7 and 8. And he does so successfully, or does he? Geitengaas still holding on the outside, but you don't want to go on the outside there in towards the penultimate corner, and eventually he has to give up that position. And Happy Meal now making his way up into P12 behind Lucas, now picking up a 3-second time penalty though, coming out of turn 9, which is not helping his case either. At the front, Finn Geerts has caught up to the back of the Haas, will now breeze past him on the left hand side. Erik has gained a couple of tenths of a second because he got held up there a little bit, but now he's going to have to make his way around the Haas driver. Finn Geerts now, he's got 11 seconds ahead of him to try and chase after Stefan. Stefan now 2 seconds behind Kevin, and I would expect him to gain some time on the Alpine, whose mediums have seen better days. Look at the grading there on the front right, especially there. So Kevin, a pit stop might be coming soon, but he still needs to make the 1-stop work, so he probably has to stay out for a few more laps. Even if the tires are completely falling off the cliff, he cannot really do 24 laps, I think, on the hards, or you don't want to do that, as you will lose a lot of time at the end of the race. So he's still staying out for yet another lap, going on to lap 13. Stefano 1.8 behind in P2. Then is Finn Geerts for the 10 seconds behind, and now Miro, he's got that whole train for company behind, with Erik, Kik, Mels, Sasha, Isbrand, and then Ivan 3.5 seconds behind, having caught up in a fight with some other drivers behind him. But now this train catching up to the back of the Haas shouldn't be too difficult to get past the Haas driver Erik now with the help of DRS pulling to the outside. and getting past to take away P4 as Mark picks up at racing time, but he's really dropped back down to P14 all there. So I think he was running inside the top 10 for the majority of this race, but now after the pit stop, the outside the points is now Kick will try and get past the Haas. Will have to go on the outside. Has really run out of battery now. He's going to have to be later on the brakes, which he does so. Nice move there from Kick. Round the outside. And up next is Mels, who's going to try and go for the better exit. And we'll have to turn the outside line for turn 6. But the Haas are not really putting up any defense. And Mels now getting his way past up at the P6. And then comes Sasha on the inside with the switchback. And Eastbound following him through. So everyone getting past the Haas in relative quick succession. As Mario drops from P4 all the way down to P9 in only a handful of corners. But we go on to lap 14. Kevin still staying out now, 1.4 seconds ahead of Stefan and around 10 seconds ahead of Finn. Geert's just really getting a lot of time each and every single lap. And the gap now between Finn and Erik is back to 2.5 seconds. And Kick has dropped outside of DRS range compared to Erik, as Sasha now picks up the physical time penalty as well. But Erik has been set free to try and chase after Finn. And I think this race is going to become a fight between Kevin, Finn and Erik.
It is the one-stopper versus the two-stopper. Last week, it didn't pay dividends for Kevin Zumberg because he went for that two-stop strategy. But the problem was, though, he got stuck in traffic for a long time. That's the price you have to pay. If you're going to do a two-stop strategy where it's a one-stopper, you have to get to the field quickly, and that's what Kevin failed to do because he got stuck behind a few cars, including Lucas as well. Him and Lucas made contact in turn 15 in USA, and he went off the track. And Lucas is side by side with Happy Meal as they bang wheels as well for good measure. Lucas now still there around the outside is Happy Meal, trying to get past. A bit of a wobble on there as we see the Red Bull force in the gravel there, and Mark has broke his wing. Oh, Happy Meal, that's a shame there for Mark. He'll be absolutely devastated as Happy Meal now starts to lose his patience. Now you can see him just driving off the road. Here comes Mark up to the inside in towards turn 9. We know this is what Happy Meal does when he starts to lose his patience. He starts to drive maybe erratically and driving on his emotions rather than rationally, but he's down in P14 now. He does have that 3-second penalty as well for good measure. He might go down the inside towards turn. Yes, he does. Oh, he backs off, but Mark goes off the track. He brakes later, and now Fireblades is right behind Happy Meal 2 for good measure. DRS enabled there for the Mercedes Red Bull. Change direction, and Mark, these guys are starting to drive on their emotions now, and as you can see there, Fireblades side by side with Mark. Mark had no idea where to go because there was a car on his left and right, so maybe they got caught up in that a little bit of confusion. But Sasha and Kick right behind Miles Mackis too. Kick, well, I think he was running quite high downforce back in USA because he was on newer tyres like Miles Mackis was, but couldn't. There he is side by side with Sasha there. He gets a bit punted, and now he's going wheel to wheel in towards 7 and 8 week going. Not a really good place to go side by side because Kevin Zumberg now is in the pit lane. So let's see then how his strategy is going to work out towards in the race. We've got the hardcore power tyres. He'll take them towards the end, but when the guys pit on a new set of hardcore power tyres, will they catch up? That's the question. Are they going to do what Kevin Zumberg failed to do back in USA as a Moroccan also pits as well? How much time has Kevin Zumberg lost as he makes his way out of the pit lane? He's got some overtaking to do, and these guys won't be easy picking indeed, so he might struggle in there as he rejoins down in P11. Should he have followed the crowd by doing a two-star strategy, or is the one-star strategy the best? He's got Happy Meal right behind. The last driver you want right behind, especially when he's on the rampage so far, and he's in rage, but I don't think, if he's smart enough, might not go. Yes, he will actually. Down the inside, he goes in towards turn 3, but Kevin Zumberg lets the brakes off later and stays ahead. In the foreground, we can see some great battling going on there as well, with a few cars in that DRS train as well. For good measure, we see Ivan, Lucas, and Khatikas in that trio there, fighting out for P8, P9, and P10. Where's Fireblaze? Fireblaze is down in P13 as well, so he's also in within that fight. But where is Kevin Zumberg? He has rejoined in P11 on the back of this fight as well. So he has got to get his way past these guys quickly. And Khatikas is his teammate, Stefan's in the pit lane. That's quite early, you know, to go on the medical powered tyres. That is very early, so he might struggle towards the end on those medical powered tyres. But Kevin, though, has got to overtake these guys quickly so he doesn't lose so much time to the people he's racing. For example, Finn Hertz, Erik, and Miles Mackis. How easy is it going to be to dispatch these guys now? We're about to find out because he's right behind his teammate. Will Khatikas give way towards Kevin Zumberg, or will he fight him? But further up the field, though, we can see Eastbound and Kick up towards turn 2 and turn 3 we go. Is Eastbound looking for a move down the near side? He thinks about it, but Kevin places the Kick places the car in the right time and the right moment. Here comes Kevin Zundberg side by side with his teammate. I don't think it's too much of a fight between those two. It isn't. Kevin Zundberg goes through. Now the next target is Lucas. Remember, these two made contact back in USA, so will it be the same thing again as just Sasha gets ahead of Mels Mekis? Here we are going down in towards turn 4. Kevin's late to the brakes, and Lucas looking for a switch back, but can't get it. He needs to get past him. So Kevin Zundberg has dispatched him cleanly this time, but no. Here comes Lucas down the inside towards turn 6, then wheel to wheel between the two there. And as we saw back in USA, it almost ended in tears whilst both of them went off the track there as they remain wheel to wheel once again, banging wheels. As this time Kevin Zundberg muscles his way through and up into P8. Lucas is not letting Kevin go at all, but now he's been released. He's up into P8 and can focus on the van now. And once he gets past the van, there is a bit of fresh air between himself and Eastman there, so he can utilise that to his advantage whilst he's been overtaking these guys. Eric has got a second penalty in this race as well. We're halfway through as Mark has retired in the pit lane. The only driver so far to retire in the race is Mark, who took 18 laps for somebody to retire, but we've seen his face full of controversy, full of action too, for good measure. Here comes Kevin Zundberg now against Ivan, two former teammates going head to head. And here, oh, look at that 3 abreast in the background we go. That's a launch from Happy Meal. Trying to overtake Khatikas, whilst Khatikas is trying to overtake Lucas. That wasn't going to work, but luckily no contact made. There was slight contact, but nobody to spin. Here comes Kevin Zundberg now, overtaking Ivan. He puts himself up into P7, but in the background we can see there, Happy Meal desperate and poised to get past people, but he's doing it the wrong way because that was never going to work 3 abreast there. Contact was bound to be made, but luckily neither driver spun.
Fortunate there indeed for both of those drivers. Kevin in the meantime, the gap between himself and Finn Geerts is 11 seconds, but now that he is in clean air he can try and chip away from that lead, and because he needs to, because Finn will soon make his final pit stop and come out on a brand new set, and he will have the advantage throughout the entirety of that final stint towards the end of the race. The question will be if he's going to go to the mediums or the hards. Coming into the pit lane is Geitenkaas in the Alpine after 10 laps on the hards, definitely going for his second stint on the hard speed. He's going to have to do 17 laps on those, despite only doing 11 on his first stint, so quite a contrast between his hard stints, but now will be out there in clean air and can try and gain some positions that way, as Stefan now gets ahead of Happy Meal to take P10, and in the background is Fireblaze still behind Happy Meal as Mills and Sasha swap positions. Mills now getting ahead of the Ferrari into the braking zone of turn 4, but Fireblaze still looking to find a way past. The Red Bull drivers been stuck around him for quite a few laps now, but still staying behind in P12, and has to find another way to get around the Red Bull driver, who is now, I think, fallen outside of the rest range as well from Stefan. Of course, Stefan, he's on a brand new set of mediums, so he is going to be quick at this stage, and he will want to get past Lucas and Ivan as soon as possible, so he can really utilize those mediums to really gain the positions that he wants. Up ahead, this train is now being trailed by with Mels, following by Sasha, Kik and Eastbrand. The gap now between them and Kevin is 2.5 seconds. Going to be a matter of time before he catches up to the back of those 4 drivers who continue to swap around each and every single lap. I think Sasha will try and get ahead of Mels once again, potentially on the braking zone of turn 4 as he goes sideways into the braking zone. There goes the Ferrari drive in towards turn 3, really struggling with the rear end. Mels, I don't think he's going to fight it. No, he isn't. Sasha goes back up the inside to steal away that final spot on the podium, and they swap around once more, but I think they're losing a bit of time now. The gap is 2 seconds towards Erik. Erik, in the meantime, has got a 3-second time penalty as well, so I think it's going to be a straight fight then between Finn Geerts and Kevin Zonnevberg for the win in this race. Erik Star's not looking too great at all either. It's going to be a matter of time before these drivers are going to pull to the pit lane. Of course, they're still in clean air, so you want to extend as long as possible, so you can really optimize your hard stint at the end of the race. Kevin now 1.7 seconds away. Now, once he catches up to this train, he is going to struggle, I think, to get past, because these drivers are quite quick, but they're also at the end of their hard stints. So Kevin might be hoping that they're going to go into the pit lane soon. Ivan and Lucas both into the pit lane in the McLaren and the Williams after doing 13 or 14 laps on this set of hards. Let's see where they're going to come out compared to Geitenkaas, who's down in P15, around 2 seconds, 2.5 behind Monique, who had that moment on the opening lap, which is still why he's all the way down there. But I think Geitenkaas is going to jump the Williams and the McLaren when they come out of the pit, and yes, there they are on the right hand side. Geitenkaas around the outside and towards turn 1 is going to be just ahead of the McLaren, but Ivan will still be within the DRS range, I think. Actually, Geitenkaas does have the DRS of someone, and now the gap has grown to around 0.6 of a second to Ivan, but the Alpine is just ahead of the McLaren and the Williams. But let's see when these drivers at the front are going to make their final pit stop to that set of hard compound tires. Kevin now has caught up to the back of this train, 0.8 of a second away, and I think they're still all staying out. No, he isn't. Sasha is going for a very interesting line, going way too wide and then cutting back across the pit entry line, but he is making his pit stop. Same could be said for Erik and Isbrand, all making their final pit stop onto a brand new set of hards. So that is good news for Kevin, now getting released just behind Kik and Mel, so need 2 drivers to dispatch in the following laps. But Erik will come out in clean air as well, ahead then of Sasha. And the next car that's coming by is Mauro in the Haas, but I think he's going to be behind all of them. Yes, he is. So all these drivers coming out in clean air, which is good news once they try to chase after the remaining drivers that are still left to pit in this race. But it's got 15 laps remaining. Finn Geerts still out there in the lead, but I think he is going to make his pit stop at the end of this lap. And the same for Mels and Kik. And then Kevin will be back in clean air, and we'll see what the lead it is going to be for him compared to Finn Geerts. Stefan in P5 on the mediums. He's got 5 laps on those. Really running in no man's land at the moment. Trailed by Happamil, who still needs to make his second pit stop as well. But Finn Geerts still continuing on, going on to lap 23. Mels isn't. He's going to the pit lane. So is Kik in the Williams, which means Kevin will get back up into second place. But Finn Geerts opting to stay out for a little bit longer, and makes me wonder, does he want to go for the mediums potentially for his final stint? Is that why he's trying to stretch it, or just want to have the best tires at the end, and he will still try and go to the hards, so he can just push flat out for those final 11 laps?
Yeah, possibility as well. I don't think the hard compound tyres at this stage can go towards it. We saw the massive graining we saw on other people as well, doing about 11, 12, 13 laps. The graining was visible, and as you can see there, the tyres were just deteriorated too. So I don't think going to the end for Finn Geerts is a possibility, and Kevin's bringing that gap down dramatically as well, so we'll definitely lose the lead if Finn Geerts decides to stay out there. As we see then, Gattekas go up to P9. There's been loads of battles so far in this race, and a few people having their moments as well, as Eastbound's down the inside of Just Hood goes up into P5, does the racing bull driver. On his return as well after a long hiatus, Sasha trying to hold him on the outside, may have the inside line going towards turn 6 as Finn Geerts does peel into pit lane, and this will prove our theory. If it's the hard or medium compound tyres, you think it to be the medium compound tyres, but we'll see. Nope, it's something like the hard compound tyres attached to the Ferrari's car, so he could be the chaser towards the end of this race then. Can he catch Kevin Zumberg? Because the last time Finn Geerts won a race was season 4 Abu Dhabi. He's had a few podiums as well in season 5, but he hasn't always been around. As we see Erik goes through as well, surely gets the undercut on the Ferrari driver. Yes, he does, goes up into P3. 12 laps left to go. Can Finn Geerts catch Kevin Zumberg, or has Kevin Zumberg just enough to secure this win? The gap is 11.7 seconds, so keep an eye on that. And I think Erik and Finn Geerts, if Finn wants a chance to win this race, he might have to coordinate and work with Erik for the time being, because they can't afford scrap, definitely not, especially with Finn's on the charge and chase after Kevin Zumberg as well, because one of those two will definitely win. It can't be Stefan, because on all medium compound tyres. We see these two going side by side in towards the breakers, so we go lunge up the inside, but Sasha might try and do the under and over, which he might possibly try to do, but he can't do it. He stays behind in P6 for the time being then, as Eastbound is quite far away there from Finn Geerts. But Finn Geerts is stuck behind Erik as well in P3, so Kik gets a penalty, unfortunately for him. But I wonder what's going to happen between these two. Is Finn Geerts going to breeze past him? He has to, really, because he needs to try and catch Kevin Zumberg. He can't afford to waste any time being stuck behind the Red Bull driver. So when is it? Maybe now on lap 25. He's moving left and right, so is he telling him to work with him as we head through turn 1 we go? Finn Geerts doesn't want to fight Erik this hard. Here he is with the DRS wide open. Once again, weaves. Erik could seize the place. He goes down to P4. So I think those two could be coordinating something and working together. There is 11 laps left to go. And guess what? Finn Geerts took 1 second out. Oh, a spinner down there in towards turn 6 and turn 7 we go. What's happened there? Tyson's beached. He's stuck there, so he has to reset track. You are allowed to reset track if you have to. If it's the last the last thing you need to do. I didn't pronounce the word right there, but Sasha and Eastbound going side by side once again, and I think Sasha just gets ahead. No, he's side by side there with Eastbound again, head to head between these two as they bang wheels there, going through turn 6. Eastbound trying to hold it around the outside there in towards turn 6, but surely now one of these two will have to concede the place, which is Eastbound. He stays behind. It's Miles Makis. Do you know what? Miles Makis has been quite strange for me in this race, because I thought he had the pace. In Q1, he seems like he was blisteringly quick, but in this race, he's just been quiet so far, under the radar, I must say, in P7. No penalties at all, but I thought he had the pace like he did in the last couple of races built there as well, but he hasn't. Finn Hertz, the gap is 8.8. The gap was 11.7, remember? He is just getting 3 seconds in 2 laps. And I dare say he could definitely catch Kevin Zundberg with the pace this is going at a rate or not. So it's down to Finn versus Kevin Zundberg for the win. And it looks like, again, strategy might be the wrong thing. Oh, crash! And Sasha goes off the track for 1 second. I thought he'd smash into the tyre barrier, bringing out a safety car, but luckily not. He just got bogged off the road by Mells or Eastbound. I'm not quite sure who it was there, but all these drivers getting very aggressive for good measure as we see Sasha back down the inside of Eastbound. We go towards turn 4. Looks like these two can't leave each other alone now because, spinner! And that is Eastbound, who has lit up the rear tyre to go for a spin. The last thing Finn Hertz needs is probably a safety car. He doesn't want a safety car because if that happens, Kevin Zundberg is able to switch over to a new set of tyres. Although Finn Hertz might get him, if Kevin Zundberg does pit, which is as Stefan does on this lap, but Finn Hertz definitely does not need a safety car virtual to hit his performance. Who's that behind him? That is Eric. So Eric is still his DRS train. I think Eric is being very smart so far. He knows that he can follow the pace of Finn Hertz, but Finn, once again, just playing with track limits again, playing with fire in the mountains here in Austria, and we know that track limits can be brutal around here too, so be very careful, keep him in the wide lines. He's got the pace already, but Eastbound has retired in the pit lane, so no safety car should be deployed for the time being there. But Finn Hertz is taking a lot of time out of Kevin Zundberg, and Kevin Zundberg could be under pressure towards the end. It's ironic as well, poetic, that Kevin Zundberg tried a 2-stop last week. It didn't pay off. Trying a 1-stop this week might not pay off. It's an asterisk. We don't know just yet until the very end, and we're about to find out if the strategy is worse for him. Has he done enough? Or unfortunately would have been another blunder for him on strategy, as Ivan goes up into P7 ahead of Khatikas and Lucas there as well. A lot of people in this race have picked up penalties except Kevin Zundberg, Finn Hertz, Fireblaze, and Mel's Mackis. You know what? Mel's Mackis has done a good job, He's been under the radar, like I said. He's up into P4 now, so great job for him to just silently make his way to the field without any sort of like major conflicts between the drivers. From P12 to P4 is such a credible effort as well. It's a shame he had a bad qualifying, but he's doing well so far in P4.
Kevin has been getting a slipstream there, or a DRS from Colin. He's been inside the Haas driver for the entirety of the previous lap. Now he finally has been able to clear the Haas driver. He got the DRS, but I think he lost a bit of time in the corners as well, having to drive inside the ghost of another car. So it's really not quite optimal for the Alpine. It's the Haas of Colin who is on a brand new set of mediums and starting to interfere with the leader of the race here. And let's hope Kevin can get clear ahead of the Haas driver right now. The gap now towards Finn Geerts is 5.6 seconds. He's gained 1.3 seconds on the previous lap alone, as he once again goes a little bit wide there. Finn might have picked up a warning with that, so really cannot afford to do that many more times in this race. We'll see what the lap time is going to be between the two of them. Of course, still 8 laps to go. Kevin, he's got an 8-lap tire disadvantage. He sets a 106.8. Quite a good lap time given his tire rates, but what is Finn going to do? 106.1, so he gained 7 tenths on the previous lap. With 8 laps to go, the gap is around 5 seconds. Erik still following the Ferrari driver as well. It seems like the Ferrari of Finn Geerts has just a little bit better pace compared to Erik, so he really cannot try and work together with him, as Finn just remains in that position up ahead, whilst they're both trying to chase down our race leader. And Mel's in P4, now under pressure from Sasha again, going to the inside and towards the braking zone to try and get re-overtake the Mercedes, and he does so. But now the Mercedes is going to try and go for the switchback. Has the DRS once again as well. And now on the inside into the braking zone of turn 4, should get the move done on the Ferrari. And Mels gets back up at the P4, followed by Sasha. Then it's Kick in the Williams, who has closed up to this battle by a few tenths of a second. And Ivan in P7 leading another train, followed by Geitikas, Lucas, Happy Meal and Fireblaze. Fireblaze still behind the Red Bull driver of Happy Meal, as Sasha and Mels are fighting that once again. Looks like Sasha has put away past the Mercedes driver somewhere in turns 6 or 7, and he's back up at the P4. What?
Yeah, but basically I saw it. But basically what happened to Mels, he just had a massive wobble on out of turn 6 and went off the track. He went to the gravel, and Sasha said, "Thank you very much, mate. I'm taking that place." Goes up into P4, so that's why you saw Mel's Mackis there dropping backwards. But look at Finn Geerts. The gap is 3.5. It's a no-brainer to say he gets DRS as well for good measure off the back of the Kick Sauber. Ticey, I think it is, because Mel's Mumminik is further up. But Finn Geerts on the charge. He's almost dropped Eric out of DRS too, but Eric will get the DRS at the back of the Kick Sauber and the Kick Sauber to the Ferrari too. So Yeah, it's not looking good for Kevin Sundberg, it must be said. In first place, he's going to be under massive pressure. And when Finn Hurst does catch, I don't think there's anything Kevin Sundberg could do because those tyres are degrading heavily. Look at the state of the tyres on the Alpine driver, just visibly greying there. So unfortunate for him, he's going to be defenseless once again. And Kevin Sundberg said that the one-stop strategy here today was better when I DM'd him, but unfortunately for him, it's not going to be the case. But Finn Hurst has some great pace in this race, a great drive. But the thing is, though, he does have two warnings. So one more warning means he will inherit a 3-second penalty, and that could be detrimental towards the end of this race. It's not done just yet because when Finn Hurst does catch, he needs to make sure he keeps it within the confines of the white lines, the most important part as well. One more slip up, one more misjudgment for him, that could result in a 3-second penalty. As Sasha, Mel's and Kick all in a battle once again for P4, P5 and P6 in this race. And Fireplace is following P7, who has been quite quiet in the race as well. Unlikely for Fireplace, but I know he has been struggling in the last couple of races too. He hasn't had much practice. Miles Makis gets ahead of Sasha. They're side by side. They bang wheels too for good measure. These guys are just getting their elbows out as well, leaving nothing on the table, giving no mercy to each other whatsoever. There's 5 laps left to go in this race, and the hunt is pretty much on. Finn Hurst is the chaser. Kevin Sundberg is the prey, and I dare say that Finn Hurst will definitely catch and overtake him in the next 5 laps. Maybe Eric too. And if Eric does overtake Kevin Sundberg, the question is, though, can he get a 3-second gap over him? And Kevin Sundberg's unfortunate one-stop strategy will not pay dividends in this race. I think the best for him is a podium because I don't think Miles Makis is catching. But Kevin, unfortunately, might have to concede defeat because Finn Hurst is going to be right behind him any given time as well. So Finn Hurst can see a race win in his hands. Now he needs to complete the move. He needs to catch him, overtake him, and once he does, make sure he doesn't pick up a 3-second penalty because Kevin Sundberg could still be in range towards the end. Same goes to Kevin as well. Kevin, how hard would he fight against this? Will he try and prevent him from overtaking? Will he try and force him off the track to try and get him that 3-second penalty? Who knows how aggressive or not Kevin will be, but he definitely knows the Ferrari is incoming. The question is, though, what can he do to defend from this? The answer is probably nothing because he's got 4 laps to defend from this, and I don't think he can. But look at this battle up towards turn 3 now. We see Stefan up the inside of Khatsikat, who went for another strategy in the mini-cup bar tyres. Stefan's up into P9 ahead of the RP driver. Fireblaze has also been under pressure from half a mile right behind too. But as we head down in towards turn 4, this group is still fighting all the way down to the wire now. And look at this. Finn Hurst is in the DRS train of Kevin Sundberg, so any chance for winning for Kevin has come to an end now. There is 3 laps left to go in this race. Nothing can save Kevin Sundberg unless he defends against Finn Hurst, but I dare say his defence will come to nothing because the power of the DRS, new tyres, Finn's relentless pace will definitely get him past him. It's a matter of where, not if, as we head up towards turn 2 and turn 3. DRS enabled then for Finn Hurst, as he knows this victory is in his sights. All he needs to do is keep it nice and clean. Don't take any risky move against Kevin Sundberg. Don't take any precautions because you know that he's on much older tyres. So you can out-traction him in towards the heavy breaker zones, get ahead of him, do a switchback. You don't want to be fighting side by side in corners like turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3 when you can easily inherit a 3-second penalty. You've got to keep it nice and clean and clinical as well, and make sure you don't mess around with him either because Kevin Sundberg will try every trick in the book, try and keep this man behind, or maybe try and get himself a 3-second penalty as well. But Kevin, what can he do? From this point, he looks vulnerable. He just can't do anything at all. But you never know what Kevin has up his sleeve to defend against Finn Hurst. But if Finn's smart, you shouldn't mess around with Kevin too much. Just should dispatch him and go on to win this race. Here we go, our lap turn 10 onto lap 34 of this race. There is 3 laps left to go. DRS enabled. Finn Hurst has stored up battery, and I think his move is incoming anytime soon into towards turn 3. It's going to be inevitable. It's going to happen, of course. Kevin Sundberg just can't do anything about it. Here we go with the DRS wide open. This is the move for the lead, and Kevin Sundberg has accepted his fate, and he's down as a P2. I think he knew there's nothing he could do, so might as well accept defeat and live to fight another day and fight for another win. But now Finn Hurst inherits the lead. This could be his first win since Abu Dhabi Season 4. This man, every time he races in SDN or elsewhere, he has got some tremendous pace in his locker. But tonight he's definitely showing it as well, with great strategy calls, overtaking the field and getting rid of his rivals too, and breaking away from that DRS train. He has put on a solid performance so far after missing a couple of races, not just in this league, but other races too, in different leagues. And it shows why his pace hasn't left him whatsoever. He's still got the talent, he's still got the pace. Sasha is side by side there with Kick. Up towards turn 6 he goes, and I think Sasha should get ahead, which he does do for the time being, and puts himself up into P4. But now Kevin Zumberg is in the DRS train of Finn Gers. He's in the DRS train. We know there's 3 DRS zones around here. So can he stick within the DRS range and possibly formulate an attack towards the end? It could be, it's unlikely, but you never know what could happen. But I think Finn Gers in the heavy breaker zones will probably pull away from Kevin in towards turn 3, because I think Kevin's tyres are off the cliff on the nice edge, literally. But he's gaining back with the helping hand of DRS around here. There's 3 DRS zones and Kevin's trying to stick with him. But I think Finn Gers has this in the bag. All he needs to do is try and get out traction him towards turn 3, get a better exit and put a few tenths in between himself, and he should secure this win. But Kevin Zumberg, they're not too far behind. Can Kevin Zumberg still fight this back? And if he does, what a mega drive, what an attack to win, despite having ever ordinary hard compound tyres. Back in PSG left 2, me and Milan Langer, we commentated on the situation when it was, I think, Milan Diossi versus Melvin on different tyres like these. And I think Melvin just somehow managed to win the race ahead of Milan all the way around on all tyres. But here we go then. Last lap of the Grand Prix is going to be absolutely crucial to see which one of these 2 Dutchmen will win this race. Is it Finn? Is it Kevin? Is there anything left for Kevin? Will Finn pick up a 3-second title? So who knows? The answers will be, the questions to the answers will be right here on the last lap. 4.3 kilometers left to go. DRS enabled on the first straight, but he's too far back. All he needs to do now is try and keep within the DRS range of the second straight, but his tyres are so old. Therefore, he has no grip out of heavy corners like turn 3. Here we are, building towards turn 2 and turn 3 we go. Finn Gers, all he needs is a clean exit out here, and that should score him in the race, because there's nothing he could do. There's nothing Kevin Zumberg could do. Massive wheel spin as Sasha goes up into P4 ahead of Miles Mackis. That battle for P4 is still continuing there, intensifying between that trio, but Miles Mackis goes back down the inside, in towards turn 4 between these two, and that should seal the deal now for Finn Gers winning this race, as there's still a big battle brewing in the midfield. We've got Miles versus Sasha on the last lap, in towards turn 4 we go. Seeing these two, let's see which one of these two get ahead of each other. They're in hammer and tongs for the whole race, but Miles Mackis just inches forwards after a fantastic cover drive. Sasha trying to switch lines there. He might go up the inside in towards turn 6, but back towards the front. I love to watch this battle, but the spotlight goes towards his teammate. Sasha goes up the inside. Is this move completed? Almost the wheel to wheel, but here comes Finn Gers to win the Austria Grand Prix after a fantastic drive for him. Back towards these two, side by side, in towards turn 9, wheel to wheel. Off the track goes Sasha. Miles is just ahead. Down the inside goes Kick now. Miles Mackis will finish in 4th place. Here comes Kick towards the line. Kick finishes in 5th ahead of Sasha. God, what a battle towards the end between those guys. They're all or nothing literally between those two. But Finn Gers, for the first time since Season 4 Abu Dhabi, has won a race. His last podium, I think, was at the Australian Grand Prix when it was him, Dylan Hogeland and Kevin Zumberg, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. But well done to Finn Gers. Back on the pace once again. It's like he never left. Ever since he took a long hiatus from league racing, he's shown why he's a force to be reckoned with, and he's shown a threat to everybody as well, that even though he's taken a massive step back, he's still got the pace within him and still showing up to do what he does best. It was Finn Gers. Kevin Zumberg, though, will be absolutely gutted Milan to miss another win with the wrong strategy.
Indeed he will, but a very strong drive there from Finn Gers. Executed that to perfection and did it very well with strategy. And Kevin, he really got very close at the end. I thought he might have a chance when he stayed close to the Ferrari within DRS range going on to the final 2 laps, but tires just fell away from him. Then he just wasn't able to fight back, but still a very strong drive for him regardless. From pole position, went for the alternative strategy, only driver to go for the 1-stop, and only fell 1 second short in the end. So as always, a strong drive for him. But Finn Gers, the man of the hour, with a dominant, well, I wouldn't say dominant, with a impressive win, with the fastest lap as well on his return. Very good to see, as a very well-deserved win for him as well. Eric in P3 in the end couldn't really hold on to the Ferrari and had to settle for the 3rd place. And that battle behind between Mel, Sasha and Kick in the end. Mel's from 12th on the grid to P4. Great round for him. And Fireblaze as well, 14 on the grid in the end. Ended up in P6 due to all the penalties he got ahead. So still a strong comeback from him as well. But once again, a very enjoyable race and a good battle until the very last lap.
Yeah, like a silent assassin, just carves his way through the field without being noticed. Same with Miles Mackey too, because we didn't really see him involved in much battles until the very end. He came out of nowhere to finish in P4, and then 5 lays 2, and Lucas from P16 to P8 after a dismal qualifying. We didn't really see much from him either, but still P8 is a good performance. I'm not quite sure what happened to him, whether it was just the wet conditions letting him down and being stuck in that DRS train. But we do have one driver in the podium interviews, and his name is Kevin Zumberg, the last season champion of Season 5. 10 wins in the feature races and multiple wins in the sprint. Kevin Zumberg, mate, you must be absolutely feeling gutted to lose it. And did you think the inevitable was coming towards the end of the race? Did you feel like Finn Hertz was definitely going to catch you towards the end?
Oh yeah, definitely. Also, when Haas is driving ghosted in me for 5 laps, it doesn't help. And then the gap's going down. I know the 2-stop is probably faster, but I just wanted to try the 1-stop out for, yeah. Just to try it out, see what happens, but it's not the fastest strategy.
Yeah, thank you for proving that, Kevin. So yeah, I'll take note next time not to do the 1-stop strategy in Austria. But your pace was still good though. You saw multiple people in the background fighting there as well, and yeah, just missed on the strategy once again. You went for an adventure strategy back in USA, 2-stop strategy, but unfortunately that didn't pay out. So yeah, what's your lessons for this race? What are you going to take in?
To just be boring and copy everyone else.
Do you
do that nice race.
Do you feel like that's the best way though to win races? Because I know you want to be inventive. I know you want to put a absolute display for the crowd and everyone, including commentators as well. I know you want to do different things, but unfortunately, boring might be the way to win races because it just seems that it's always the same strategy that win races, but read into it.
Yeah, I know. I will have a slight pace advantage, but the thing is, with overcuts and undercuts in like top end grids, they all bunch up together, and a 1 lap or undercut or overcut will do a lot, like in terms of positions. But here the trains are getting split so much that like Finn had no one to overtake, going for a bigger overcut on his second stint. So if the grid was closer and he had a like 4 or 5 car train in front of him, he wouldn't have catched me. But that's just how it is here, and that's why you just need to go for the optimum strategy most of the time. That will just work the best.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And next week is at the Baku Grand Prix. So how are you feeling for Baku, mate? Are you strong there?
I don't mind Baku. I don't particularly like it, but I'm quick around there, so we'll see. Maybe we'll do a 2-stop there as well.
It's not been the best start of the season for you, Kevin, but we definitely know you'll climb back, and you'll definitely know that you're a threat for the championship. I know it's early doors in the championship, but how are you feeling for the championship? Do you think that the guys around you are a major threat? Do you think you could beat them?
I'm not worried at all. I mean, I got done 2 different strategies, still got a P3 and a P2, so I'm not like. It's still consistent points when some people on top of the championship are going out in Q2. It makes my life pretty much easier, and I know I will be there every race that I do. I will be in the top 3, so it's on them to capitalize on the race when I'm not there and be more consistent than me.
Yeah, that's a fair point, mate. Yeah, great qualifying today as well. Great race pace, and yeah, you went for a strategy that didn't work out, but of course, it's a long season, it's a long way, and we know that you're a calm driver with a level head, so we definitely know that you'll recover back from this. And Milan Langer, you got any questions for your fellow Dutch compatriot Kevin?
No, I don't think. Just good attempt on the strategy. Got quite close, just like last week, but still a good job, of course. But I think it's going to be a matter of time before we see you winning a race again this season.
Baku?
Who knows? We'll see next week.
Well, thank you very much. Milan Langer, thank you very much once again for joining me in the commenting box. It's been an absolute pleasure and privilege to commentate with you this race. And yeah, thank you as always for your hard work and efforts.
Thank you too. It's been a pleasure, and looking forward to the next week.
Well, that's the Austrian Grand Prix done, and there's going to be more chaos in the Land of Fire at the Baku Grand Prix next week with long DRS straights. Tune in there at 6:30 UK time for the Baku Grand Prix in Azerbaijan on Friday, same time as always. See you all later. Goodbye for now, and have a good weekend, everybody.